My sister-in-law smiled as she hugged my father-in-law, but the moment no one was looking, she whispered, "Soon this house will be mine, and you'll be out on the street." I thought she was joking. I was wrong. Within days, she accused me of stealing from the family. My husband stopped defending me, everyone turned against me, but what she never knew was that my father-in-law had already made one secret decision that would destroy her entire plan. If you enjoy emotional family dramas filled with betrayal, suspense, shocking twists, and satisfying endings, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Every week, I bring you unforgettable stories about family, loyalty, and justice. Now, let me tell you how greed nearly destroyed my family until the truth finally won. My name is Santa Williams. I'm 31 years old. 3 years ago, I married the love of my life. Adam Williams. He was kind, honest, hardworking. I truly believed I had married into a wonderful family. Adam's parents welcomed me warmly, especially my father-in-law, Mr. Robert Williams. He always treated me like his own daughter. Whenever I cooked dinner, he would smile and say, "Sana, this house feels alive because of you." Those words always made me happy, because after losing my own parents years earlier, this family had become my home. There was only one person who never accepted me, Adam's older brother's wife, Rebecca. From the very first day, her smile never reached her eyes. Whenever guests visited, she acted sweet. The moment they left, her attitude completely changed. She criticized everything I did, my cooking, my clothes, even the way I spoke. At first, I ignored it. I believed kindness could soften any heart. I couldn't have been more wrong. One afternoon, I accidentally overheard Rebecca talking on the phone. She didn't know I was walking past the study. She laughed quietly. "As long as the old man signs everything over, that house will finally belong to us." Then she added, "But first, that girl has to go." My heart skipped a beat. Was she talking about me? Before I could hear more, she opened the door. Our eyes met. For 1 second, neither of us spoke, then she smiled. "Oh, were you listening?" I forced a smile. "No, I was just passing by." She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "You should mind your own business." For the first time, I felt afraid. That evening, I told Adam everything. He listened carefully, then sighed. "Sana, you probably misunderstood. Rebecca wouldn't do something like that." His words hurt. Not because he disagreed, because he didn't even consider believing me. I quietly nodded. "Maybe you're right." But deep inside, I knew what I'd heard. Over the next few weeks, Rebecca became strangely friendly. She made tea for my father-in-law, helped him organize paperwork, constantly asked questions about his will, his property, his investments. Every conversation somehow returned to money. Mr. Williams never noticed, but I did. Then one morning, everything changed. Rebecca stormed into the living room holding a small jewelry box. Her face was filled with fake tears. "My diamond bracelet is gone." Everyone stopped what they were doing. She looked around dramatically, then pointed directly at me. "I know who took it." I froze. "What?" She stared straight into my eyes. "Sana, you were the only person upstairs this morning." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I never touched your bracelet." She folded her arms. "Then prove it." Adam looked shocked. His brother looked confused. My mother-in-law began crying. The entire room suddenly felt heavy. Rebecca continued, "If she's innocent, she won't mind us checking her room." Before I could even answer, she walked toward my bedroom. Everyone followed, including me. I had nothing to hide, but for some reason, my heart wouldn't stop racing, because Rebecca looked far too confident, as if she already knew exactly what everyone was about to find. Rebecca walked confidently into my bedroom. Everyone followed. Adam, his brother Michael, my mother-in-law. Even my father-in-law, Robert, slowly made his way upstairs with his cane. The room felt painfully quiet. Rebecca walked straight to my dresser. Without asking permission, she opened the top drawer. Then another, then another. Suddenly, she gasped dramatically. "Oh my God!" She reached inside and slowly pulled out her missing diamond bracelet. The room froze. Rebecca held it high. "I knew it! I knew she stole it!" My mother-in-law covered her mouth in shock. Michael stared at me in disbelief. Adam looked completely speechless. I couldn't even breathe. That bracelet had never been in my room before. I knew it. Someone had placed it there, and I already knew exactly who. Rebecca turned toward Robert. Her voice trembled with fake tears. "I welcomed her into this family, and she repaid us by stealing from me." Then she looked directly at Adam. "You still want to defend her?" Adam slowly looked at me. "Sana, please tell me this isn't true." His words hurt more than the accusation itself. Not, "Did someone frame you?" Not, "I believe you." Instead, he wanted me to prove my innocence. Tears filled my eyes. "I didn't steal anything." Rebecca laughed quietly. Then how did my bracelet end up in your drawer? I had no answer, because I honestly didn't know, Robert suddenly spoke. His calm voice silenced everyone. Sana, look at me. I raised my eyes. He studied my face for several seconds, then quietly asked, Did you take it? Without hesitation, I answered, No. His eyes never left mine. Finally, he nodded. I believe you. The entire room became silent. Rebecca immediately protested. But Dad, the evidence is right there. Robert calmly replied, Evidence can be planted. Rebecca's face changed for a split second. Only a second. But I noticed it. So did Robert. She quickly recovered. Why would anyone do that? Robert didn't answer. Instead, he slowly picked up the bracelet, turned it over, and smiled very slightly. Interesting. Very interesting. I had no idea what he had noticed. That evening, no one spoke much during dinner. Adam barely looked at me. Rebecca, however, couldn't stop smiling. Every time she thought no one was watching, she smiled to herself, as if everything was finally going exactly as planned. The following morning, Robert called me into his study. When I entered, he closed the door, then quietly asked, Sana, tell me honestly, has Rebecca ever threatened you? I hesitated. Then I told him everything. The phone call I'd overheard, her comments about the inheritance, her warning to stay out of her business, her sudden interest in his property. Robert listened carefully, without interrupting once. When I finished, he slowly leaned back in his chair. I was afraid of this. My heart skipped. You knew, he sighed. For months. I've noticed money disappearing, documents being moved, and questions about my will that nobody should have been asking. I stared at him. Why didn't you say anything? He smiled sadly. Because I needed proof. Then he looked directly into my eyes. I think Rebecca just gave it to me. Meanwhile, downstairs, Rebecca was celebrating. She called one of her friends. Everything's working. They all think Sana stole the bracelet. It won't be long before she's out of this house. She laughed confidently, then added, Once she's gone, nothing will stop us from getting the inheritance. She had no idea that someone else had already heard every single word. Not me, not Adam, but someone she never expected. Robert's longtime attorney, who had arrived early for a scheduled meeting and had heard Rebecca's conversation through the open patio door. He quietly walked into Robert's study, closed the door behind him, and calmly said, Robert, I think it's time your family learned the truth. Robert slowly smiled. Yes, I think it is. Rebecca believed she had already won. She didn't realize her biggest mistake was thinking the smartest person in the house was herself next afternoon. Robert gathered the entire family in the living room. No one knew why. Rebecca looked unusually confident. She believed this meeting had only one purpose: to finally throw me out of the house. She even smiled as I walked into the room. That smile wouldn't last much longer. Robert slowly stood up. His attorney, Mr. David Collins, stood beside him holding a thick folder. Rebecca frowned. Dad. Why is your lawyer here? Robert calmly replied. Because it's time everyone hears the truth. The room fell silent. Mr. Collins opened the folder. Yesterday morning I arrived early for my appointment with Mr. Williams. I was waiting in the backyard when I overheard a conversation. Rebecca's smile instantly disappeared. He continued. I clearly heard someone say, Once Sana is gone, nothing will stop us from getting the inheritance. Rebecca's face turned pale. Michael slowly turned toward his wife. Rebecca, what is he talking about? She laughed nervously. He's lying. I never said that. Robert quietly reached into his pocket, then placed a small digital voice recorder on the table. I had my doubts weeks ago. So I asked my attorney to help me. The recorder captured the rest of the conversation. Mr. Collins pressed the play button. Rebecca's voice echoed through the silent room. They all think Sana stole the bracelet. Soon she'll be out of this house. Then the inheritance will finally be ours. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Every word, every laugh, every lie filled the room. Michael slowly stepped away from Rebecca. His hands were shaking. You framed Sana? Rebecca desperately shook her head. I can explain, but no explanation came. Because the recording continued, then came the sentence that destroyed everything. I hid the bracelet myself. The room became completely silent. My mother-in-law burst into tears. Adam looked at me, unable to meet my eyes. Robert quietly turned off the recorder. I think we've heard enough. Rebecca fell to her knees. Dad, please, I made a mistake. Robert looked at her with heartbreaking disappointment. No. A mistake happens once. You planned this. You tried to destroy an innocent woman. Just for money. Adam slowly walked toward me. His eyes were filled with guilt. I'm so sorry, Sana. I should have trusted you. I let doubt speak louder than love. Tears rolled down my face. I didn't need you to solve my problems. I only needed you to believe me. He lowered his head. I know. And I'll spend the rest of my life earning that trust back. Michael quietly removed his wedding ring, then placed it on the table. He looked at Rebecca. I don't even recognize the woman standing in front of me. Without another word, he walked out of the room. Rebecca called after him. He never looked back. Robert slowly picked up another envelope. I was going to announce this next month, but after everything that's happened, today feels like the right day. He opened the envelope. My will has been updated. Rebecca looked up with desperate hope. Robert continued, this house, and everything I own, will not be divided based on greed. It will be divided based on loyalty, honesty, and love. He smiled at me. Sana, the day you married into this family, you became my daughter. No lie will ever change that. I couldn't hold back my tears. Robert looked around the room one last time. Money can build houses, but only character builds families. I'd rather leave my legacy to people who protect this family than to people who try to destroy it. Everyone quietly nodded. For the first time, the truth had spoken louder than manipulation. A few months later, Rebecca moved out. Michael filed for divorce, not because of the inheritance, but because trust had been broken forever. Adam changed too. He became the husband I had always believed he could be. He stood beside me, not behind me, not in silence, beside me. Robert often smiled and joked, I didn't lose a daughter-in-law. I found the daughter I never had. Those words healed a wound that I thought would never close. Today, our family isn't perfect. No family ever is. But it's honest. And that's worth more than any inheritance. Because I learned something I'll never forget. Greed may win for a moment, but truth always writes the final chapter. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes honesty is worth more than money. And always remember, an inheritance can be written on paper, but true family is written by loyalty, trust, and love. The end.